Okay, now we're going to look at a different form of Egyptus, more of a mythological standpoint, but in the same concept and where the word Egypt comes from. And it's out of Greek mythology. They have Egyptus, and they tell you here that Egyptus also means burnt face, that they can pull that out of it. But of course, Egyptus also means a people that are up near Egypt, and an Egypt river that's up there, Egyptus, and a sacred brother. And this is supposedly what makes or founds Egypt. I just did another video onto it, so hopefully you've seen that one. I'll try to put a link in the top right hand corner at the very end of this, so it'll go to that one, or back to it in a way. Anyhow, it may refer to the following related characters. Egyptus was the son of Zeus and Thebes of Egypt. And I think this will explain something to you. Thebes is known in the ancient Egyptians as Waset, was an ancient Egyptian city located along the Nile about 800 kilometers or 500 miles south of the Mediterranean. It's up the ways a little bit. Its ruins lie within the modern Egyptian city of Luxor that we know about, and everybody knows about the Luxor Pyramid in Las Vegas. Thebes was the main city of the fourth upper Egyptian nome, and so they have these giant cities that are there, Cairo's being one of them. You can see in here the pictures, these giant pillars that are in there that all have the cuneiform writing around them and hieroglyphics. And then at the top of them they actually have what looks to be a lotus flower flowering out. Different ones have different things in different places. Some of them have poppies and things along that line. It's pretty neat to look at the different ones in different times and what they have for each one. But so Egypt is the son of Zeus and Thebes is also an ancient city that's up near in Greece too. And so that shows you a connection that they have. Most people won't want to give them in ancient times, and thus can be considered brother to the earlier Hercules or Heracles. And we look at Heracles, and people don't realize that that's got to do with heroes, and that's got to do with hieroglyphics, and it's got to do with Horus, Heracles. Yeah, it has to do with the same type thing. Also, Egyptus is the king of Egypt and the son of Belus or Baal, and the Naiad or the river nymph of the Nile named Akiro. And we just talked about that in the last vid, and how that has to do with butterflies and moths. And we'll see that depicted quite a few times. Indeed, Danides is a breed of butterfly that we know as the monarchs today. And even though they're monarchs, they do quite a bit of migration. That's another thing that's carried with them. That and the red, the color red, the symbolic reddish ochre of that butterfly and what it was named such. Now, Egypt either married the Danide Diasippe, and Dio is a god name, so from one of the gods, Zippe or Kippe, and Polyxena, poly meaning many, and Xena, like Xena warrior princess, but Xenia also being a form of flower. So we can see this nymph concept, this fairy, nymph, butterfly, flower concept in Latin whenever they were used to name all these flowers. Utilize this, just like we did with the planets and naming all of the moons once we eventually found them, ironically exactly to go with the pantheons here that people were well aware of back in the time. You can also see Sons of Egypt there. I don't know, I believe I will. Let's go to there. In Greek mythology, the sons of Egyptus were the 50 progeny of the king of Egypt, Egyptus. They married their cousins, the 50 daughters of Danaus, twin brothers of Egyptus. So from the twins, they had all daughters, and then these people did this royal intermarriage here again. In most common version of the myth, they were all killed except for one, Lynceus, who is known as a lynx king, or having a leopard, that concept, who was saved by his wife Hypermnestra on their wedding night. Hypermnestra meaning one who grieves badly, hyper being like hyperactive, and menestra containing estrogen, containing the idea of the women who used to woe, and so on. In fact, her name comes across as being the woman that cried so much, and apparently so on her wedding night she cried so much she didn't consummate their marriage. and in doing so saved him, but all other 50 were killed in this mythical concept. The list of the Bibliotheca preserves not only the names of brides and grooms, but also of their mothers. In many cases, a lot was cast among the sons of Egyptus to decide which of the Danides each would marry, except for those daughters born to Memphis, who were joined by their namesakes, the sons of Tyre or Tyria. According to Eostre, Egyptus had these progeny by a single woman called Erero, daughter of the Nilus River. So, kind of strange here, and I wish they'd put them all in here in names and how they break down and what they mean, but let me just go through a few of these. Let me zoom in just a little bit as we go through. We're going to go on the left column here. That's Egypt's sons. The mother of all these first is Argraphia, and we find that the river Ar is what the name the ancient Egyptians actually gave to the river that was there that we call the Nilus. And this is where the name Egypt comes from, is right here, and the idea that they had put them down as being a brothered situation to them, very much like Romulus and Remus and all of the brothers that go from, ancient societies, even in South America and North America, have this thing about brothers and how this thing happens. And in your Bible, you see with Cain and Abel, Cain supposedly somehow coming the Canaanites, which, bad, and then they want to take them over. Abel, of course, doesn't have any progeny from the situation. But then there was the Sethites, and Sethites is Seti, and Seti is seen in Egypt, and they're redheads and stuff, and so are the Ramses, clearly noted and stuff, and Rams go with Ares, and this river Ar, and how this all goes together in a concept. But, so Lycinus did Hypanestra, as we talked about, Proteus, which is a mythical character too, but now Proteus is a minor sea god, and he's the son of Poseidon. It's in there also. He's an Egyptian king in the version of the story of Helen of Troy that they have there. And so it shows you whenever this great war happened in this Trojan War that people relegated to being much mythology. Now they figured out it kind of did happen, and it kind of was a world war. Again, very interesting. Next we have Busiris. And they're like, Busiris, that's good. No. Bu is an idea we still have with beauty and things, but it also has to do with the son of, and it's beautiful whenever you have a son to carry on your name. And then Cyrus, are you seeing this? Like Osirus, of Cyrus, right? And Automate is his wife, which just sounds like it just runs itself, doesn't it? Enceladus, which is kind of in the moon now too, but Encephalus, all these things have to do with brains and stuff. But then Amenone, which strangely, Amenone here has to do with, Poseidon himself also, as you see in the depiction here down at the bottom, with the trident and stuff going on, but also off a weird inflection of the names where we get Amy from. We also get Anemone from Amenone. So you get something like that out of it. Lycus, which again has to do with cats and animal depictions that we get, and you see this still carrying on to this time. He's known as an Egyptian prince, though. He suffered the same fate as his brothers, though, and these are all people that supposedly all died. So it's just made up names, but people and things that all broke down when this shit all went wrong way back when, for the catastrophe type of age, which I think I got into in the video before this, or did I not put that part in? Oh no, we'll go back to that shortly. It's also having to do with Egyptus, and actually the story of Greeks in Egypt. I think that's where we'll start that one out. I might even put that before all of these three. So anyhow, so then we find from here diaphragm, right? Diaphragm, huh? Secae, Scae, Scaia, Scythians, something that has to do with that. Istrus, Hippodamia, Chalcedon with Rhodia. All these names seem to be Rhodesia. All these names seem to be, well, that was from Cecil Rhodes, but no. There's another thing. Agenor himself with Cleopatra, daughter of Danaus. Oh, this is different. This is way before. But is this how this comes out? Now, in my recent studies here where we did through the ending of Alexander's campaign, we find Cleo found way over there, and Patra being meaning father, Patra meaning mother of, and Cleo, and now this goes together, and How does that have to do with Cleopatra? Well, there's a lot of connections that this all has to do with. Cadus with Astrea. Who was Asteria? Well, it's weird, but she was a Titaness. Well, what does that come from? Well, Asteria is Istar. That's in Nana. That has to do with. So these people we're talking about are far spread out. These daughters weren't just like, this man lived in this house, got with these. No. They're talking about a fullness of life of all these people, of bringing together. Daughter of Helios. That's the sun. She was a star, the daughter of the sun. Does any of this sound kind of familiar? She married the river god Hydaspes. Well, where is that at? Well, that's all the way over in the ancient, we just looked at that with Alexander the Great. That's over there where the Aryans had taken over in that part, right down through there. Persia had owned right to there. That's where Alexander's border, where he had gone to. And became the mother of the Darides king. Well, who was Darius? Well, yeah, Darius said he was an Aryan, so yeah, well, I've said in too many videos already now, but Herodotus actually said that all the people through here from Egypt to over were all called Aryans at one time, but the Medes were called Aryans, and then Mede came from Athens, and they changed their name because of her, just as Persia had done when Persia had come to there, and so on. Where did Egypt get its name from? I'm telling you right now, where Egyptus gets its name from, and so on, from this hierarchy that comes out of that. So then we have, down in here, we're talking about the Arabian woman, but when we talk about that, we're talking about what actually would have been Arabia, or the Yemen, the peninsula here off of it, the Arabian Peninsula. Now this side attaches to the Tigris and Euphrates over here. We're talking about people that lived in here, and this would have been something seen in your biblical stories of the Queen of Sheba and the Sabaeans and stuff, so it has to go with that. Now Alces got with Glosse, and this is the Himriids. Alcamenor, let's see any of these that are really standouts here. I'm sure all of these have to do with stories. I mean, Cercetes here got with Dorian, right? So you're like, Dorian, what is Dorian? Well, Dorian's a scale, right? In Dorian, there's ancient stories about Dorian and the painting and so on, but Dorian the Gray. But then we have Darius and Dorian, Orion. Well, there's Orion right there, and Dor has to do with horses, but Orion, Hurrian. Oh, it just starts bleeding out from there, what you can get out of it. But anyhow, hey, who lives in Phartus? Don't want to live in Phartus. Anyhow, Phoenician, this is all to do with the Phoenician women and the Dorians and so on, so they have quite a reach in them too here. Tyria, and now she had hers with Sethineus, Sethinele, Sethites. How does that work with it? The red heads, Phoen is red. The sacred animals are fawn colored, red. So we look here too, and then where's the other ones come from? Well, the mother of the Danides here was Elephantis. Well, we know elephants. Elephants were the mother. No, okay. There's a thing about the trumpet and the storm gods, and how the elephants will make a sound of El. El was the god of the Levant, and so they're trumpeting, and there's thunder that they make, stampeding elephants and so on. People used them in battles and so on, so you get that. But there's Elephantine Island up in Egypt. Oh, and that's where that comes from too. So you can look here at that, and then still with Tyria here too. So that connects Tyre up in Elephantine Island. What? Well, yeah, that's what it kind of tells you here. That's what they're making connections of. And these people that are writing this are well connected up in Egypt. I'll show you how it goes way back to what they agree is 700 BC, or a little more, but no, it goes back much further than that. Ancient connections between all these people. So, who's the Phantes? Where do you get the word phantom from? Piano, Electra. Electra is, electrum is a mixture of gold and silver and bronze together. And then we have Peris-thenes. I know what Paris is. Have you ever heard of Paris? I've heard of Paris. Hermus and Hermes. Cleopatra, different one of the Danides. Dryas, like the younger Dryas event that we keep talking about. Dryas has to do with flowers too. Right, it's these little flowers that stay on the edge of the cold area. And it's funny, that all works together with Calydni and these ancient Caledonians that are hooked up through here, and Anthelia. Anthelia is a type of coral. It's also some type of flowers, and it's very clove looking, very spread out, very spiky looking. Cleodor with Clea again. So you can see in these names here, it's quite strange how they're all together. Polyctor with Stygne. And what are Stygian wishes? Stygian witches, that goes carrying all the way up through the times of Shakespeare, and people knew about these things. There's just got lost connections now, but back then everybody knew Greek, but then nobody knew Greek, and it was all Greek to me. And now we're not sure about a lot of it, and when you get taught in school, you don't get taught it. Egypt used to be a big thing in school, but Greek much more. For hell, all the schools you go to, all the dorms are all Greek letters, and then all hooked up to that. This concept of schooling that comes from way back when. But yeah, so and Gorgo and the Gorgons and how those hook up in this concept here which weren't necessarily what everybody thinks of, and the snakes weren't necessarily what it really referred to, but in Pan himself here with Hephaestus and these ancient people that brought metals. Quite strange. Now we could go into here and look at this, but it's quite strange. But oh man, so here we can see Antimachus here and Medea herself as one of the Danides. And the story of Medea is quite strange, for she causes quite some problems where she goes a little bit, if we look into it and stuff. But here's another breakdown, basically, of the same type of thing that's shown here. And their sons. I'm not going to go into all of this. It gets quite boring, I guess you'd say. So there's your Sons of Egyptus and how part of Egypt comes in. Again, I've got the other one I'm fixing to show too that'll go together with this. I think I'll preemptively do that one, this one, before that one. And I think before I release either one of them, I'll do the first one I spoke about earlier. Anyhow, like, share, and subscribe, guys, and enjoy. Peace.